All right, let's start with the synopsis part with respect to alcohols, phenols, and ethers. The first part we have is its classification. Now, when I'm talking about the classification, we know alcohols are nothing but hydroxy derivatives of aliphatic hydrocarbons, while those of aromatic hydrocarbons, where the OH is directly attached to the benzene ring, are called as phenols. So remember, the OH group is of two types. When I'm talking, if the OH is directly attached to the aliphatic chain, then that is what we call as alcohols. And if the OH is directly attached to the benzene ring, then that is what we call as phenols. That's the first part. So look at that. Alkane replacing the H by OH, and for benzene replacing the H by OH, that is phenol. Next definition, ethers. Ethers, alkoxy derivatives of alkanes. Alkoxy OR group. Only R is alkyl, OR is alkoxy. So they are alkoxy derivatives of alkane, where you replace the terminal hydrogen atom by an nothing but a alkyl group. Then those are what we call as ethers. And same way from benzene, replacing the H, is this clear, of the benzene by an alkoxy group. That is what we call as the aromatic ethers part. Ethers, we know they are of two types, symmetrical and unsymmetrical ethers. Symmetrical ethers, you have two similar or dissimilar. You have, symmetrical, both the alkyl or aryl groups are same. And if you have unsymmetrical ethers, both the alkyl or the aryl groups are dissimilar. Then one point over there. So ethers, alkoxy derivatives. Yeah, that's one part. Now classification. Classification, first we will be talking about nothing but alcohols, wherein alcohols, nature of carbon to which the OH is directly attached, what we call as primary, secondary, and tertiary. So that's rightly what we have. So this is a characteristic group CH2OH for primary alcohol, CHOH for a secondary alcohol, and COH, what we have for a tertiary alcohol. All right. So whenever you see these groups, these are the characteristic functional groups, primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohol, where the nature of all the carbon atoms is sp3 hybridized only. sp3 carbon will form 4 covalently bonded sigma bonds only. That's the sp3 hybridized part. That's one. Then ethers classified as symmetrical or simple or mixed or unsymmetrical. First one, dimethyl ether, that's methoxymethane. Diethyl ether, ethoxyethane, or diphenyl ether, that's nothing but over there phenoxybenzene. So here simple or symmetrical, both the alkyl or aryl groups are same. Mixed ether, they are different, like ethyl methyl ether, methoxyethane. Methyl phenyl ether, that's nothing but methoxybenzene, what you also call as anisole. And special names are used in the common as well as in the IUPAC names. And next we have is benzyl phenyl ether. Is that clear? That's one. Then the next to discuss what we have is nomenclature of monohydric alcohols, that is the carbinol system, where methanol is also called carbinol. Methyl alcohol, also called as wood alcohol or wood spirit, because extracted by destructive distillation of wood. That's why the word methu means wood. That's wood alcohol. Carbinol system is from methyl alcohol, replace the H by alkyl groups. That was the old system of naming. So look at that. Ethyl alcohol, also called methyl carbinol, because you have substituted a methyl group from, you substituted the H of the methyl alcohol by a methyl group. So CH2OH technically was CH3OH, substituting one H by methyl group. Second one, we know isopropyl alcohol, that's dimethyl carbinol, where two methyl groups are replaced, and these methyl groups are replaced. So this part, what I'm boxing with red, is my methyl alcohol. So from methanol, substituting two H atoms by two methyl groups is dimethyl carbinol. Same way, trimethyl carbinol, where COH is methyl alcohol, 3 hydrogen atoms are replaced by 3 methyl groups. And same way, triphenyl methyl carbinol, methyl alcohol, or triphenyl carbinol, where this is the methyl alcohol part. Okay. So whenever you come across this name carbinol, it is with respect to the methanol system, an old system. Okay. Trivial system, less commonly used. Now coming to the isomers, chain isomers, we all know the continuous chains are different. That's called chain isomers. So here also, if you observe, look at that. The continuous chains are different, but the molecular formulas are same. C4H9OH. Position isomerism, position of the functional group is different. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Propan 1 all, propan 2 all. Functional isomers, monohydric alcohols. People add that word, not only alcohols, it should be monohydric alcohols, because be very clear, if a statement comes, alcohols are functional isomers with ethers, true or false? Answer is false. When I say alcohols, usme sab aa gaye. Monohydric, dihydric, polyhydric, trihydric, polyhydric, all of them. You have to be specific. Monohydric alcohols and ethers are only functional isomers of each other. So that's ethanol and methoxymethane. Molecular formula both have the same, C2H6O. Then comes nature of phenol. Now in the nature of phenols, important part, we are having most important phenolic OH. OH has to be directly attached to the benzene ring. So remember, benzyl alcohol is not a phenol. Benzyl alcohol is an aromatic primary alcohol. All right. So look at that. Methylated phenols are called chrysols, where phenol undergoes Friedel-Crafts reaction, that is Friedel-Crafts alkylation, to give you orthochrysol, metachrysol, and parachrysol. That way. So chrysols, that's called for methylated phenols, where we have ortho, meta, para. We know for all di-substituted benzene compounds, we use the nomenclature of ortho, meta, and para. Then there is meta-nitrophenol, and we have last one, para-methoxyphenol over there, where the OH group is more prior as compared to the alkoxy group, because benzene with OCH3 is anisole. So that's why it's called para-methoxyphenol, because the OH is more prior. So that is one. Then if the OH groups are 2, that's a di, what we call as nothing but a dihydric phenol. Then we have at ortho positions, that's called catechol, meta position, resorcinol, and at para position, quinol or hydroquinone. These names are from the source, from where they are extracted. And IUPACs, for catechol, it's benzene 1,2-diol, where E is retained. Same way for resorcinol, benzene 1,3-diol, and for quinol, benzene 1,4-diol. Okay, that's one part. Then next comes, now in this the classification can be little more. We can classify, for example, benzylic also with respect to what we can call as sp3 hybrid carbon, as well as we can classify over there nothing but the allylic groups also, where benzylic, we all know what is the logic of benzylic over there. Functional group OH is directly attached to a sp3 hybrid carbon, which is again directly attached to a aromatic ring. That's called a benzylic, that we call as a benzylic carbon. Second is allylic carbon. Functional group OH is directly attached to an sp3 hybrid carbon, which is again directly attached to a CC double bond. So if it is directly attached to a CC double bond, that's called an allylic carbon. So that classification is not given here, but that is also there, what we have for monohydric alcohol. And with respect to, that is for so in sp3 hybridized part, we have 3 classification. One is with respect to nature of carbon as primary, secondary, tertiary. Then we have second classification of benzylic, where also we have primary, secondary, tertiary. And again in sp3 we have allylic, where also the classification is primary, secondary, and tertiary. And with respect to sp2, where the OH is directly attached to an sp2 hybrid carbon, which is a part of a CC double bond. That example is of vinyl alcohol. So that's the classification complete part. Then the next, what is there? Ethers. Ethers, what we call them as the 2 alkyl groups, or the 2 alkyl or aryl groups, are written alphabetically followed by the word ether. If both the groups are same, the prefix di is used. All right. And if they are dissimilar, then it is in an alphabetical order. Okay. IUPAC, carbon atom with less number along with oxygen. So the alkyl group with less number of carbon along with oxygen is called your alkoxy group. And the other part becomes the parent alkane. That is the part what we have. Okay. Now see this part, what it says. IUPAC, yeah, that's alkoxy alkane. So look at that. Methyl isopropyl ether. In fact, the common name should be isopropyl methyl ether. So it should be isopropyl methyl ether, because I of the iso is considered in the alphabetical order. So that's 2-methoxypropane. And look at that next one, ditert butyl ether, where what happens? One of them is my alkoxy group, other one is my parent alkane. So I number this 1, 2, 3. So at position 2, I have the alkoxy. So look at that, 2, outside 2 is the blue one, what I have written. Then in a bracket, 2-methyl 2-propoxy, because here also you have to number, because in the alkoxy also you have a branch. So 2 outside, what you see here is for this number 2. Okay, so 2, then in a bracket, 2-methyl 2-propoxy. And then outside again a methyl. Why a methyl? Because this is a branch. Observe here. This methyl is a branch. What I've written in the yellow part. So 2 is for the blue one first. What's outside? Then in a bracket, 2-methyl 2-propoxy. And then outside, methyl propane. That methyl outside is the yellow one, what I've shown. That's one. Now structure wise, we say alcohols and ethers. Normally, they are sp3 hybridized. So look at that. Methanol, the bond angle of around 108.9, that's sp3. And this is the dipole moment, 1.71 d by, where we all know 1 d by 3.33 into 10 raised to minus 30 coulomb meter, because that's the dipole moment is nu, which we measured as q into r. Q is the distance, Q is the coulombic charges, and R is the distance by what they are separated. That is one part. Second is phenol over there, where the dipole moment is 1.540, because the phenyl group shows the least minus I effect. Why? Because in phenyl, all carbon atoms are sp2 hybridized, and the electronegativity of carbon atom is in the order sp hybrid carbon is more electronegative than sp2 than sp3. That's why in phenol, the angle is over there, nothing but 109 degrees. And methoxymethane, dimethyl ether, again, all are sp3 only. So whenever oxygen forms 2 single bonds with 2 lone pairs, that's sp3. So one lone pair is S, one of the lone pair is P, and the remaining 2 P are the 2 covalent bonded forms. Here the dipole moment is 1.3 d by over there, because both the alkyl groups will show plus I effect. So because of the plus, the repulsion is more over there. Hence, the dipole, the bond angle is more, that is 111.7 degrees, not 70, it's 111.7 degrees. Okay, that's one. Going to the preparation part, first one, hydration of alkenes. Also, we have 2 types in hydration, that is direct hydration and indirect hydration. In hydration, it's addition of water. So from MCQ's point, very simple, lower alkenes, whenever there is hydration word, one thing simple, to alkenes add water according to Markovnikov's rule. Negative part OH goes to the carbon having the least number of H atoms carrying the CC double bond. That's it. You will always get the respective alcohols. Drawback, the only primary alcohol prepared by hydration of ethene is ethanol. Only primary alcohol prepared by hydration of alkenes is ethanol. And this is called the large scale preparation, because alkenes are obtained by cracking of petrol, the crude oil which comes from the earth's crust, that is cracked. So when you crack, you get alkenes over there. Cracking is breaking higher hydrocarbons into lower ones. So once you get lower alkenes, you get ethene on a very large scale. So hence ethanol can be prepared, but that's the only primary alcohol. So whenever it's hydration, add water according to Markovnikov's rule. Electrophilic addition, intermediate is carbocation. Second reaction, so I'm just writing over here, electrophilic and the electrophile is carbocation. Okay, that's one. Next we have is hydroboration oxidation. This is a regioselective addition. Here what you do is very simple. To alkenes you add water according to anti-Markovnikov's rule. So basically you will get primary alcohols. In over there for hydration, you were getting over there nothing but, as I said, you were getting 2 degree and 3 degree alcohols as per Markovnikov's addition. Here mainly we will get primary alcohols. So addition of diborane B2H6 in presence of THF as a solvent. That's tetrahydrofuran. And then the tri-N-alkyl borane undergoes oxidation with mild oxidizing agent, hydrogen peroxide, in an alkaline medium, that is NaOH, and we get respective primary alcohol. So very simple to go. For hydration, add water according to M rule. For hydroboration oxidation, add water according to anti-M rule. Okay. The mechanism over here, look at that. That's the stereo part over there, what it forms, where it says it's a cyclic transition state over there, where there is cis addition of the diborane of the borane part according to Markovnikov's rule. Contrary to Markovnikov's rule, matlab opposite of Markovnikov. So we get respective over there, nothing but like how we have in peroxide product, primary but straight chain, same way. Now these important informations are people just additive informations over here. So you can just call them as all as extra there. So no need to memorize this part, but at least know in case what it says. When alkyl triborane, that is what you got in the first step. This is the tri-N-alkyl borane, what you got in the first step of hydroboration oxidation. It says are heated with carboxylic acids, alkanes are produced. So tripropyl borane, if you react it with a mild oxidizing agent like H2O2, then it gives primary alcohol. But if you heat it with acetic acid, you get respective alkane. Okay, that's called as protonolysis. So whichever is the alkyl group part, that's your alkyl group part, that will only form its alkane. That's propane. This one I discussed when I was doing the MCQs. Oxymercuration, demercuration. This is also an extra reaction, that is addition of mercuric acetate in presence of THF as a solvent. Here also in the paper, it comes mercuric acetate, THF, and then oxidation. All you do is same. Alkenes add water according to Markovnikov's rule. So oxymercuration, demercuration is like hydration. Add water according to M rule. That's it. The whole reaction is there, not required. To the alkene, just add water. So simple. If I add water, negative part goes to the carbon having least number, and this H will come here. So the product formed is RCH, CH3, OH. That's a 2-degree alcohol. Okay. Then next is basically a comparison of 3 reactions: hydration, hydroboration, oxymercuration. Hydration, to alkenes add water according to M rule. Hydroboration oxidation, to alkenes add water according to anti-M rule. And oxymercuration, demercuration, add water according to M rule. And intermediates are carbocation. So whenever carbocations are formed, important, always check. See, Markovnikov is electrophilic addition, where for carbocation stability, we all know carbocation stability can be explained either with hydride shift or with alkyl shift. So you have to check whether you can enhance the stability from 1 degree to 2 degree, or from 1 degree to 3 degree, or from 2 degree to 3 degree. That way. Look at that. Initially, carbocation is formed and less stable is converted to more stable either by hydride shift or by alkyl shift. Look at that. 3-methyl-butanene, when it comes, then there is an alkyl shift happening, where first it forms a 2-degree carbocation. Then the alkyl group shifts here. That's what the arrow shown. This methyl group shifts. So now if it shifts over here, this positive charge actually should be here. That's a 3-degree carbocation. Now to this 3-degree carbocation, you add water and we get respective 3-degree alcohol. That's the part. Hydroboration oxidation and oxymercuration do not involve carbocation intermediates. All right. So they are basically the rearranged part over there. So with diborane, straight away, OH will go to the carbon having more number. That will be CH2. So you will get a 1-degree alcohol. And same way it says here directly Markovnikov's rule. So OH will get attached to the carbon having least number. So what is the logic there? 3 things to understand. Whenever this hydration, intermediate is carbocation formed. So for the carbocation, check with how to enhance its stability. If it is getting enhanced, not necessarily always, but majority of the time it does get enhanced either by alkyl shift or by hydride shift. For anti-Markovnikov, no carbocation. So here basically just add OH group to the carbon having more number of hydrogen atoms like anti-Markovnikov. And for oxymercuration, demercuration, also it says no carbocation is formed. Add water according to M rule. That's it. So here mercuric acetate gets added, and finally we get a 2-degree alcohol only. So what we got, observe, it's the same example, 3,3-dimethyl butanene. That on hydration gave you 2,3-dimethyl butan 2-ol, which was a 3-degree alcohol. With hydroboration oxidation, we got a primary alcohol, 3,3-dimethyl butan 1-ol. And with oxymercuration, that is this condition, mercuric acetate and THF, that is tetrahydrofuran as a solvent over there, you got 3,3-dimethyl butan 2-ol. So in the exam now, on the converts on the arrow in MCQs, just see the conditions. Based on the conditions, you have to make it. So make points accordingly, so you know where what to substitute. That's how organic goes. It is a game of mainly knowing the reaction and substituting the products accordingly. Then it becomes very easy over there. Next one, reduction, carbonyl compounds. Now carbonyl compounds reduction, we all know. Aldehydes on reduction gives primary alcohol. Ketones on reduction gives secondary alcohol. Now the reduction can be with nascent hydrogen or with molecular hydrogen. So look at that. Hydrogen nickel, that's called molecular hydrogen. Addition of hydrogen in the presence of nickel as a catalyst. And why do D block elements are used as catalyst? For a very simple answer, D block elements are used as catalyst because they show variable oxidation states. So electrons can be used from the valence shell as well as its penultimate shell. All right, that's all. So that is one. Or it can be with sodium and alcohol. That is basically nascent hydrogen. What it gives over there, that is sodium and ethanol will liberate nascent hydrogen, and that nascent hydrogen will add. Nascent is a newly born infant hydrogen. The reactivity rate is very high. Or you can use sodium borohydride, which will reduce. All right. So if I talk about sodium borohydride, we have discussed sodium borohydride only reduces the carbonyl group. So if it is an aldehydic group, you will see aldehydes can be reduced to primary alcohol. Ketones can be reduced to secondary alcohol. That is one. So that is basically what we call one reduction of carbonyl compounds. Important. So once again, primary alcohols, so aldehydes on reduction, primary alcohol, ketones on reduction will give us nothing but secondary alcohols. Tertiary alcohols cannot be prepared by reduction of carbonyl compounds. Next one, reduction of carboxylic acids. Carboxylic acids, when they are reduced, the COH group gets reduced to respective primary alcohol. Now that's with lithium aluminum hydride followed by hydrolysis, or you can also use diborane with THF as a solvent. It gives its primary alcohol back. So any acid, just replace the COH by CH2OH. That is one part. Then reduction of esters. Now esters has two parts, acid part and an alcohol part. So when you reduce esters with lithium aluminum hydride followed by hydrolysis, or with sodium and alcohol, or with hydrogen in the presence of copper chromite, that's one of its ores over there. Then the alkyl group that we have, the alkyl group, that is R dash, gets converted to its alcohol, but the acid part, what we have, the acid part also gets reduced to its respective primary alcohol. So esters on reduction will give basically two alcohols, right? So if I say methyl acetate, methyl acetate. So methyl will give me methyl alcohol. Acetate is basically from acetic acid, and acetic acid is 2 carbon atoms. So the primary alcohol will also be ethyl alcohol. So if I'm talking, this will give me, so acetic acid will also get reduced to respective ethyl alcohol. So if I take methyl acetate, I'll be getting methanol plus ethanol. One more example. If I take ethyl acetate, ethyl comes from ethanol, so ethanol will be given out. Acetate comes from acetic acid. Acetic acid is 2 carbon atoms. So that on reduction will also give me ethanol. So ethyl acetate on reduction with lithium aluminum hydride followed by acid hydrolysis will give 2 moles of ethanol because both the groups are same. Okay, so that is one. Third one, reduction of esters. And this has a name, it's called Bivolt-Blank reduction. So make a note of it. Reduction of esters is called Bivolt-Blank reduction. Then the next one we have, that is from Grignard's reagent. We have discussed this Formaldehyde plus Grignards gives a primary alcohol. Aldehyde other than formaldehyde plus Grignards gives a secondary alcohol, and ketones plus Grignards gives a tertiary alcohol. That's the part. So that is what you have to keep in mind. Formaldehyde 1 degree alcohol, aldehyde other than formaldehyde 2 degree alcohol, and ketones with Grignards will give a 3 degree alcohol. That's the part. Okay. So look at that RMGX. And one more thing, we can also react Grignard's reagent with cyclic ethers, what we call as nothing but the epoxy group. This is over here epoxy ethane or ethylene oxide or an oxyran ring. Oxyran is basically oxygen atom in a cyclic form. This I have discussed with you. It will give respective primary alcohol. Mark this important. This is basically an extra part, but it is an important part. Okay. So RMGX, how it acts, I have told you. All valencies are satisfied. So to R, you just add CH2, CH2, O, MgX. So look at the way how the additional product is formed. To R, you add CH2, CH2, then O, and then finally the MgX part, which breaks down to give you primary alcohol. Then this is about next part. It says, unlike aldehyde, esters add 2 molecules. This I discussed with you, if you remember, formate ester and non-formate ester. What is the part? Formate ester reacts with excess of Grignard's reagent. First, it gives an aldehyde with 1 mole. It gives aldehyde other than formaldehyde, which reacts with the second mole of Grignard's reagent to give you a 2 degree alcohol. That's for formate esters. And for non-formate esters, with 1 mole of Grignard, it first gives you a ketone, which reacts with the excess or the second mole of Grignard's reagent to give a 3 degree alcohol. So that's the part, 2 degree and 3 degree alcohol. So formate ester with excess of Grignard gives a 2 degree alcohol. Non-formate ester with excess of Grignard gives a 3 degree alcohol. That's the part. Next one we have, this is an extra part, fourth one what we see. Grignard reacts with oxygen or sulfur to give alcohols or thioalcohols. Thio is basically for sulfur, what we say in organic. So instead of ROH, RSH. So RMGX plus O2 forms a complex, which on H3O plus's acid hydrolysis gives you its respective alcohol. Or with sulfur, it gives you a thioalcohol. It's an extra part. This is important. This is basically important in the sense, it is, we'll be doing this in amines. Reaction of any of the amines, primary amine. What is the meaning of the word primary? The group is NH2, amino group. That's how we catch. Amines are classified not with nature of carbon. They are classified with nature of nitrogen. So RNH2 plus HNO2, nitrous acid, with NaNO2 and HCl gives respective alcohol along with effervescence of nitrogen gas. So all you do from the convert point, replace the NH2 group by OH. That's what we have as action of nitrous acid on aliphatic primary amines. However, what it says, it's not a good method for the preparation of 1 degree alcohols because alkenes and alkyl halides are also produced. But from a convert point, yes, primary amines are converted to alcohols. Like how we have for aromatic with HNO2 forms a diazonium salt. And then we have entire Sandmeyer, if I take, we get chloro, bromo, iodobenzene. If I take Balz-Kiemen, we get fluorobenzene. If I do hydrolysis of diazonium salt, I will get phenol. Here, primary amine, NH2 is replaced by OH. Then comes hydrolysis, what we did in halogen derivatives with aqueous KOH or aqueous NaOH, or with moist silver oxide or silver oxide suspended in water. You can convert the halide to its alcohol. All right. Now, one reaction we'll be doing in ethers, I'm just talking about it now. Instead of the word moist silver oxide, if I use dry silver oxide, it means without water, then alkyl halides will give respective ethers. Just we'll do that. So alkyl halide plus moist silver oxide gives us alcohol. Alkyl halide with dry silver oxide will give respective ethers. Then preparation of phenol, first is basically by using chlorobenzene, that's dose process. That's chlorobenzene fused with NaOH, caustic soda at 623 Kelvin at a pressure of around 300 atmospheres. It gives sodium phenoxide or sodium phenate, that is sodium salt of phenol, which on over there, reaction with dilute HCl gets decomposed to give respective phenol or carbolic acid. or hydroxybenzene. Anyone. Phenol is a special name. Greek word. Phen means benzene. And E is replaced by the word OL. Second is from sodium benzene sulfonate. That is from what we can also have it from benzene sulfonic acid. Aromatic compounds. Is this clear? Link the whole thing. Same way chlorobenzene also you can link. How do you get chlorobenzene? Benzene plus chlorine in presence of over there nothing but anhydrous AlCl3. Okay, then we get respective chlorobenzene. That is one. Same chlorobenzene on dose process gives us phenol. Same way benzene sulfonic acid. Benzene sulfonic acid is this compound, SO3H. Benzene reacting with fuming sulfuric acid, that's oleum, will give us benzene sulfonic acid. That was aromatic. Same benzene sulfonic acid reacting with caustic soda, NaOH, gives us a salt, sodium benzene sulfonate, which again fused with NaOH gives us sodium salt of phenol, that is sodium phenoxide, which when decomposed with dilute HCl gives us phenol there. Third is from benzene disonium salt. How is a benzene disonium salt formed? Any aromatic 1 degree amine reacts with NaNO2 and HCl to form its disonium salt between 0 to 5 degrees, that is 273 to 278 Kelvin. And that disonium salt when hydrolyzed with dilute H2SO4 gives us phenol there. Then from cumene, this is basically nothing but the commercial preparation. That is today worldwide, phenol is prepared by this method. Benzene plus cumene, benzene plus propene in presence of phosphoric acid at a high temperature first gives you cumene. That is basically the H over here. Is this clear? Will come on this part and this H gets attached. The whole isopropyl group will get attached over there. All right. So just like Markovnikov addition part, instead of propene, we can also use 1-chloropropane where carbocation stability is enhanced. So benzene plus propene gives you cumene, or benzene plus 1-chloropropane will also give you cumene because of nothing but stability of carbocation enhanced. Then next part we have, that is by hydride shift. This cumene on aerial oxidation, is this clear? We're somewhere around 368 to 408 Kelvin. In books, if you check, I think it's 423 Kelvin. That's aerial oxidation. The two oxygen atoms will add in between. We get cumene hydroperoxide where the bond is OOH. Be very careful, not carboxylic acid. C double bond OH. OO is the peroxide bond. OOH is what I call as hydroperoxide. Okay. And then when you hydrolyze with dilute H2SO4, we get phenol plus we get acetone. This is a commercial method because one, cumene is a cheaply available raw material, and second, acetone is obtained as a useful byproduct. Second is what we have as decarboxylation with soda lime. Remember soda lime, is this clear? NaOH plus calcium oxide, what we did in 11th standard, hydrocarbons, alkanes part. Sodium salt of fatty acids on decarboxylation with soda lime give you alkane, same way. Salicylic acid that is prepared by Kolbe's reaction. When you react with caustic soda, NaOH, first it forms the salt, sodium phenoxide or sodium phenate. This sodium phenoxide or sodium phenate, is this clear? When you react with NaOH and calcium oxide, then it gets broken down. First the sodium salt is formed, which gets broken down to give you phenol there. So by decarboxylation also, we can get respective phenol over there. Okay, that is basically, see, you can do it orally also rather than the whole thing. From salicylic acid, if CO2 is removed, this comes here back as H. So you get phenol. That's it. Then second we have is from Grignard's reagent. Grignard's reagent, when it combines with oxygen, it forms a complex which breaks down to give phenol. This is an extra one. Then physical properties, boiling points. Alcohol show intermolecular H bonding, so their boiling points are higher over there. So what it says, among, so normally 3 degrees is as the molar mass increases, boiling point increases, but it says among isomers, as branching increases, the boiling point decreases. That's due to surface area. So it's primary, secondary, and tertiary. So the order important. If I have the 4 isomeric parts of butyl alcohol, N-iso, sec, tert, then N-butyl is more, then iso, then sec, then tert. You don't require any temperatures, but know the order part because tert will have maximum branching, surface area would be least. That way. Okay. So normal alcohols, molar mass increases, boiling point increases. For isomeric form, which starts from propyl onwards, like N-propyl and isopropyl. N-propyl will have a higher boiling point than isopropyl because N-propyl will be in a straight chain, so surface area is more. Then it says like alcohols, phenols also show intermolecular hydrogen bonding. That explains that their melting point and boiling point are higher as compared to haloarenes. Now, among isomeric forms of nitrophenols, this is very important, ortho, para, and meta-nitrophenol. Ortho-nitrophenol shows intramolecular edge bonding, chelation. Chelation, from the word chelation means crab's claw. That is basically donating its lone pair of electrons to, pulling the metals towards themselves. That's basically formation of coordinate covalent bonds, where the species which donate lone pairs, we all know it's a Lewis base. They are also called ligands, Ligand. Ligands are neutral or cationic or anionic species capable of donating lone pair of electrons. That is one. While meta-nitrophenol and para, they show intermolecular edge bonding, where maximum is with para. Consequently, the melting and boiling point of ortho is much lower than meta and para. So due to chelation, orthonitrophenol occurs as discrete, single molecules, while meta and para, due to intermolecular, they are associated, many molecules come together. Whereas in ortho, because of chelation, intramolecular edge bonding, it's a single isolated molecule that way. As a result, very important, orthonitrophenol is steam volatile. That is, it undergoes steam distillation. Steam distillation, liquids which are immiscible in water, but in presence of steam, their volatility increases. Hence, it can be separated by steam distillation. Solubility, lower alcohols are miscible in water because of edge bonding. That's mainly till 4 carbon atoms. Beyond 4 carbon atoms, their solubility decreases because as the bulk of the alkyl group increases, the alkyl group behaves hydrophobic. It's an electron repelling groups. So tendency for hydrogen bonding decreases. So that's the part. But solubility decreases as molar mass increases due to increase in the hydrocarbon part. Hydrocarbon is the alkyl part which behaves hydrophobic. Phobia, water repelling group. Among isomers, solubility increases with increase in branching. So understand, solubility mein, if the branching is more, the molecules are more closer. So over there, the solubility is more. Okay. So with branching increasing, surface area decreases. So their boiling point decreases, but solubility increases. That's why look at that. Solubility increases in the order. N-butyl is least, tert butyl is maximum. So it's exactly the opposite order of boiling point what we saw. Okay. Like alcohols, phenols form edge bonding over there, but the solubility is much lower. Okay. However, phenols like basically dihydric and trihydric are fairly soluble over there. Then the next part, the chemical reactions. One is cleavage of OH bond. Matlab in alcohols, it's the breaking of the OH bond. Okay. So in this category, we will say alcohols are weakly acidic, even weaker than water. Technically, we have discussed, no, alcohols are neutral. But if I talk with respect to Laurie-Bronsted theory, alcohols are amphoteric. They are proton donor as well as proton acceptor. If I talk with respect to Lewis theory, alcohols are specifically Lewis base. They are lone pair donors. That is one part. Then the next point we have acidic nature part because it liberates hydrogen with sodium metal. That's called its acidic nature part. So acidic nature, remember, methanol is the most acidic alcohol because for the ROH bond to break, the reactivity order we all know, methyl, primary, secondary, and then tertiary. So methanol is the most acidic alcohol what we have. Okay, that's one. Second point over there, reaction with active metals. That's what we discussed where it liberates hydrogen gas. So the acidity, it's basically the same thing what I wrote. Methanol is the most acidic. So evolution of hydrogen gas shows that alcohols act as Bronsted acids, proton donors. But I told you their behavior is amphoteric. Alcohol reacts with H plus to form protonated alcohol where it gains a proton. So there it's a Lowry-Bronsted base. Then reaction with acid, chlorides and anhydride. This is basically what we call as acetylation or acylation. That is formation of esters. Now with acid chlorides, RCOCl, and anhydrides, RCOO. Sorry. O, C double bond O and an R. That's acid anhydride. Where specifically if R is CH3, okay, then that is called acetyl group and the process is called acetylation. Okay. So RCOCl, again the bond breaking here is the OH bond. So the H of the alcohol and the Cl given out. So we get esters. Same way here, H of the alcohol is given with one of the RCO part to form its acid as a byproduct and it gives you ester. So we had a reaction. Acetyl chloride plus alcohol gives us ester, and acetic anhydride plus alcohol also gives us ester. Then acid plus alcohol. So acid plus alcohol, OH of the acid, H of the alcohol, confirmed by tracer technique. Okay. So where we can use conc H2SO4 or dry HCl gas, we get ester. And this bond broken, OH of the acid and H of the alcohol, confirmed by radioactive O18. So O18 is the radioactive isotope that is used to confirm that the OH of the acid and H of the alcohol are broken there. That's called a tracer technique. And when HCl is used, it's called Fischer-Spire esterification. So in some of the books, they have not written the word Spire, they just write Fischer esterification. That's it. So you have to keep in mind with dry HCl, the same reaction of acid plus alcohol giving ester is called Fischer esterification. Now here the reactivity part is simple. As in alcohols, the OH bond is broken. Methanol is the most reactive alcohol, and in acid is the CO bond broken. So for the cleavage of the CO bond, we have acid with the lowest bulk of alkyl group. That is nothing but formic acid would be the best acid. So that's because of the steric hindrance part. So look at that. Methanol most reactive for esterification and formic acid most reactive. What it says, size of the group around the COH and that of R dash in alcohol increases, the rate of esterification decreases due to steric hindrance. I hope we know what is steric hindrance. Because of the 3D rotation of the groups, the path of the incoming group is blocked. That's called steer is 3D rotation, hinder is to block the path. That's why the order. Reaction with Grignard's reagent, this we did in hydrocarbons also. Grignard's reagent reacts with respective alcohols to give alkanes. Now, what is this alcohol? Not necessarily alcohol. Grignard's reagent can react with any compound which over there, which produces an H. This is called, this H attached to oxygen is called active hydrogen. So because of this active hydrogen, what will happen? The R of the Grignard will pull up that H to give an alkane. So Grignard's reagent reacts with any source of proton and gets decomposed to respective hydrocarbon. It can be alcohols ka H, primary amines RNH2, H attached to N, secondary amines RNH R dash, H attached to nitrogen. We can't have tertiary amines. Why? Because there is no H only. Okay. So then we can have acids RCOH, H attached to the O. So all these H attached to the electronegative atoms. That's called the active hydrogen atoms. That's the part to get respective alkanes. So it says, therefore, compounds containing these active hydrogen atoms react with Grignard, and we come to know the amount of methane formed. Why methane? Because the Grignard generally used is CH3MgI. We have discussed the best Grignard's reagent is methyl magnesium iodide. Why? Because methyl magnesium iodide on heterolytic fission generates carbon ion, that is the methyl carbon ion, and iodide because of the size. So that's why CH3MgI is the best Grignard's reagent. So knowing the volume of methane which is liberated, the number of active hydrogen atoms present can be determined. That's called as Zerivitinov's active hydrogen method. So to estimate the number of active hydrogen atoms, once again, what are the active hydrogen atoms? Hydrogen atoms attached to oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur are called active hydrogen atoms. Okay, so that's one part. Then Now comes to the second part, cleavage of OH bond. So we are going to talk about ROH, where the RO bond breaks, where we have reaction with HCl, HBr, and HI, where HCl plus conc HCl with ZnCl2, what we call as Lucas reagent. So it forms, the RO bond is broken. So for HCl, we use anhydrous ZnCl2. For HBr, being a strong acid, it is prepared in situ by the action of NaBr and conc H2SO4. And for HI, it is in the presence of Ki plus H3PO4, which is the strongest acid. So 3-degree alcohol is more reactive than 2-degree and 1-degree, because in 3-degree, if the branching is more, the RO bond will break faster. And for halogen acids, I've told you in water, HX are called halogen acids. In the gaseous state, they are called hydrogen halides. So HI is stronger than HBr and then HCl. Then reaction with PCl3, PCl5, what we have seen in halogen. Alcohol with PCl5 gives alkyl chloride. Alcohol with red phosphorus bromine or red phosphorus iodine also gives alkyl halide. Here reaction with PCl3 is not given. We can have it with PCl3 also. So plus PCl3, that gives you RCl plus H3PO3, similar to the PX3, because PX3 is red phosphorus plus halogen, which is prepared in C2. For PBr3, that is phosphorus tribromide, and PI3, that is phosphorus triiodide. That's one. I'll just balance this. So that's 3 over there. Yeah, now it's a reaction balanced, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. That's one part. Then reaction with SOCl2. If anybody remembers, Darzin's method. Now in this Darzin's method, the best method, why? Because HCl and SO2 are both gases, so they will escape out. So what leaves behind is only alkyl chloride. Then alcohols, this is now reaction of alcohol molecules as a whole. Whole means single molecule. So that's what we call as intramolecular dehydration to give an alkene. So ethanol, also you can call it as beta elimination. From alpha, the OH goes, from beta, the H goes. So between alpha, beta, double bond. So with conc H2SO4, it's called liquid phase dehydration. Where for primary alcohol, 95% conc H2SO4 at a temperature of 443 Kelvin. Secondary alcohol, that is 60% H2SO4 at 373 Kelvin. And tertiary alcohol, that's basically with 20% H2SO4 at 363 Kelvin. All undergo intramolecular dehydration to give an alkene, where intermediate formed is carbocation. That's what is given here. Carbocation, dehydration, 3 degrees more reactive. That's it. And it says with 1 degree alcohol is heated with H2SO4. That is precisely at a temperature of 413 Kelvin. Then that's continuous esterification process that leads to formation of ether. So that's this part. So it's only primary which can resist the temperature till 443. 2 degree and 3 degree alcohols, if I take 2 moles, that is excess, they don't form ether because they don't reach only at 413 Kelvin. Secondary at a lower temperature of 373 Kelvin only will form an alkene. Tertiary with a low temperature of 363 Kelvin only with conc H2SO4 will form an alkene. Only primary can at low temperature of 413, excess of monohydric alcohol will give ether at 413, and at 443 it will form respective alkane. That is one. Now this is the same thing. At low temperature it forms its ethyl oxonium hydrogen sulfate, or what I can also call as ethyl hydrogen, what we can call as ethanol plus H2SO4 is ethyl hydrogen sulfate. And a little high temperature it is ethyl hydrogen sulfate. So first it forms an oxonium salt. Sorry. First is a formation of, I hope, oxonium salts where oxygen donates its lone pair. So one of the oxygen is donated lone pair over there, and it forms over there ethyl oxonium hydrogen sulfate. And then at a high temperature, it can also form ether, as well as for very high temperature, it can form alkene. So the temperature is important. On the arrows what comes. 443, it's ethene. 413 Kelvin, continuous esterification. Then at 383, 2 moles of ethyl hydrogen sulfate will form diethyl sulfate. At 383 Kelvin, it forms ethyl hydrogen sulfate, and at a low temperature, that is 0 degrees, it's going to form ethyl oxonium hydrogen sulfate. Now, Victor Mayer's test. I told you this is basically to distinguish alcohols. Now you'll understand this properly. Observe this well. Primary alcohol, first with red phosphorus iodine, gives alkyl iodide, primary alkyl iodide, with which AgNO2, silver nitrate, we have done, it gives a 1 degree nitroalkane. So it forms a 1 degree nitroalkane. That 1 degree nitroalkane with HNO2. If you remember, first it gives, that's a nitrolic acid, that's where HNO2 will add with respect to the alpha H atoms. And it forms this nitrolic acid. As I said, we'll be doing this in amines part. That's over there a blue colored solution. And this by adding NaOH gets converted into another salt that's called a blood red solution. It forms red color. So any primary alcohol with red phosphorus iodine gives 1 degree alkyl iodide, which with AgNO2, silver nitrate, gives you 1 degree nitroalkane, with which HNO2 gives a blue colored compound, that's nitrolic acid. In the amines part, we'll be doing how the reactions are. It's basically a distinguishing test between 1 degree, 2 degree, and 3 degree nitroalkanes. And then by adding an alkali, the same blue colored solution changes to red. If all this happens, it's a confirmation the given original compound is a primary alcohol. Come to secondary. Acha, alcohols ke liye, what does it depend upon? It depends upon replaceable alpha H atoms. 2 degree alcohol, first it gives a 2 degree red phosphorus iodine, 2 degree alkyl iodide, with AgNO2, 2 degree nitroalkane. With HNO2, again, it forms a pseudo nitrile compound, which is again a blue color, and that with NaOH, it's blue only. This initially is also blue, but with NaOH, the color does not change. It remains blue only. That's a secondary alcohol part. And for tertiary, there is no alpha H. So first it forms a 3 degree alkyl iodide, with which AgNO2, it forms a 3 degree nitroalkane. And in this 3 degree nitroalkane, there is no alpha H. So here there'll be no reaction. So the test tube remains colorless. So that's Victor Mayer's test. Okay. Then second, we have the Lucas test. Lucas test, mixture of conc HCl and anhydrous ZnCl2 is called Lucas reagent. Where primary, when here, what will happen over there? In this category, 3 degree alcohol, because the bond breaking is RO bond. We just now said about carbocation was the intermediate. So 3 degree alcohol gives immediate turbidity of alkyl chloride. 2 degree alcohol gives turbidity after 5 minutes. And with primary alcohol, the reaction is very, very slow. So nothing comes at room temperature, but only on prolonged heating, you will get a turbidity. So it says no reaction, no cloudiness at room temperature. So you'll get a cloudiness only on heating it. That's one. Then action of copper. Now copper ka reaction, if anybody remembers, that is what we called as catalytic dehydrogenation. Catalytic dehydrogenation is basically nothing but removal of hydrogen, which is better as compared to oxidation. So primary alcohol with copper at 300 degrees centigrade or 573 Kelvin, it gives aldehyde plus hydrogen. A good method or the best method to prepare an aldehyde. Why? No risk of further oxidation. Matlab aldehyde will not get oxidized further. Secondary alcohol will give ketone plus hydrogen, and tertiary doesn't undergo dehydrogenation. It undergoes dehydration. It undergoes dehydration to give respective alkenes. That's with copper. Basically all the distinguishing part. Then comes the last reaction, that what we have as oxidation, where we can use a variety of oxidizing agent, either neutral, acidic, or alkaline KMnO4. Alkaline KMnO4 Bayes reagent, acidified potassium dichromate or dilute HNO3. Primary alcohol first gives aldehyde and then the acid with same number of carbon atoms. That's important. However, oxidation can be stopped at aldehyde if you use mild oxidizing agents like PCC, pyridinium chlorochromate, or PDC, pyridinium dichromate. Formula is not required, just know the names. PCC, pyridinium chlorochromate, and PDC, pyridinium dichromate. These are mild oxidizing agents where they produce only one nascent oxygen and the reaction stops after producing the aldehyde. That is one. Then it says, in the absence of water, which prevents oxidation. Yeah, okay. 2-degree alcohols. 2-degree alcohols will give ketones with same number of carbon atom, and then on vigorous or destructive oxidation, you're going to break the groups. But in ketone, depending on the bulk of the alkyl groups attached to the carbonyl group, we will see that this will break over there. So in the sense, what's going to happen? We are going to have the groups being cleaved on either sides, and it will give acids with still lesser or lower number of carbon atoms. That's what it says. It gives carboxylic acid with lesser number of carbon atoms. Okay. 3-degree alcohols difficult to oxidize because no alpha H. So remember, oxidation depends on number of replaceable alpha H atoms. So primary alcohol has 2 alpha H, RCH2H. Secondary is RCH, R-OH, so CH, so 1 alpha H. And tertiary is RC, R-, R-, and OH. So on the C, there are no alpha H. So that's why tertiary is difficult. So first, they undergoes intramolecular dehydration to give an alkene. Alkene gets vigorously oxidized to give a ketone with less number. Ketone further gets vigorously oxidized to give acid with still lesser number of carbon atoms. That's the oxidation we have. So look at that. Primary alcohol, I'm just writing the carbon atom 2C because 2 carbon atom in ethanol. Acetaldehyde, 2 carbon atom. Acetic acid, 2 carbon atoms. So yeah, number of carbon atoms. Isopropyl alcohol, secondary alcohol, 3 carbon atoms. Acetone, 3. Now the bond breaks. Now either side it breaks. Both sides the groups are same. So any one side it breaks. So if it breaks this side, I get an acid with 2 carbon atoms. That's acetic acid. And this 1 carbon atom, vigorous oxidation, it breaks down to give CO2 and water. Okay. So ketone, depending on the bulk of the alkyl groups, will get vigorously oxidized to give a mixture of acids containing lesser number of carbon atoms. Same with tertiary. Tertiary, straight away ketone is shown. Actually, it first gives alkene. Alkene gets oxidized. So first, third butyl alcohol gives you isobutylene. If I have to precisely put up the name, it's isobutylene. Isobutylene, 4 nascent oxygen is what we call as vigorous or destructive oxidation. It gives acetone. Acetone again with destructive oxidation, that is 4 nascent oxygen, further gives acetic acid. So in ketones, depending on the bulk of the alkyl groups, we say there will be vigorous or destructive oxidation to give a mixture of acids with lesser or lower number of carbon atoms. That's the point. That's one. Then, now in that, what do we say? With respect to this one add-on part, with respect to the JE part, we have a rule called Toff's rule. What is this Toff's rule? Toff's rule says that whenever there is an oxidation of an unsymmetrical ketone, is this clear? Then the alkyl group always stays with, then the carbonyl group, always stays with the lowest alkyl group. Whenever there is an oxidation of an unsymmetrical ketone, the carbonyl group will always stay with the lowest alkyl group, and the lowest alkyl is methyl. So always you will see one of the major products as acetic acid whenever it's an oxidation of a higher ketone. And why is like that? The reason is because of the stability part, because the lower alkyl group will have the least plus I effect, so least repulsion, so least steric hindrance. So stability is more. As the bulk of the alkyl group increases, the plus I effect increases, its steric hindrance will also increase there. That is one point. Okay, just give me a sec, please. 1 second. All right. Sorry. Next comes people over there, benzylic and allylic alcohols. They also can be oxidized. Now, benzyl alcohol, if you oxidize, we get benzaldehyde, and allyl alcohol gives us acrolein. There is a special name there where if I have to give the IUPAC name of the compound, that's prop-2-ene-ul, or in some books they also write it as prop-2-ene-1-ul. So look at the options. If they don't say 1-ul, then all the options will be with ul. But if you have a choice between, all are given with 1-ul, then go with that, because technically for aldehydes we know they are terminating groups, so always at position 1 only. Then test for alcohols. One is ceric ammonium nitrate. This is basically an extra test where ceric cerium we have done. No? That's basically the first lanthanoid. So an aqueous solution of ceric ammonium nitrate gives pink or red color, but it's not a reliable test. Is this clear? As many easily oxidizable groups such as amines and phenol also gives this test. That's why in the books we don't have ceric ammonium nitrate. Okay. Yes, that's a very important one to talk. Iodoform test. We have discussed. Iodoform test is compound giving yellow crystals of iodoform. Now question comes, who will give, who will not give? Any alcohol which has got 3 replaceable beta hydrogen atoms will give yellow crystals of iodoform. So if I say ethanol, yes, to the functional group, that's alpha, that's beta. So 3 replaceable beta hydrogen atom. So this will give yellow crystals of iodoform. Or if it is a carbonyl compound, aldehyde or ketone, it should have 3 replaceable alpha H. Now what is the alpha H part there? If I take acetaldehyde, common mistake what everybody does, you're not supposed to take the C of the C double bond as the alpha. Next to this is the functional group. So that's alpha. So if there are 3 alpha H, this will give yellow crystals of iodoform. Or if I take acetone, the functional group ye bhi alpha hai, ye bhi alpha hai. Any one alpha, I need 3 H. So if there are 3 replaceable alpha H, it will give yellow crystals of iodoform. Okay, okay, that's one. Then now people, ethylene glycol. Now these are the extra reactions I've just given for info. You don't have to do it at all. So don't touch it also. I'm just doing the main one. Preparation is important because this is there in the chapter alkenes in hydrocarbon. Ethene reacts with Bayer's reagent to give us ethylene glycol. That's ethane 1,2-diol. Okay. Then properties, we don't have to do anything of it. So don't touch it at all. I've given all the properties. I'm not doing. Only one important reaction is what we have to do. Pinacolone rearrangement. That's an important one. It's a characteristic reaction given by ketones only, not by aldehydes. We'll be doing in the next chapter of organic. I'm just briefing you what is this part over here. Pinacol is basically what we call as a tertiary diol. What is the meaning of the word tertiary diol? You have, look at that, diol matlab 2 OH groups, tertiary diol 3 degree. So please specify. Pinacol is a tertiary diol. So this is basically when acetone reacts with magnesium metal in presence of benzene, then it forms pinacol. And that pinacol gets rearranged to pinacolone. So 2,3 dimethyl butane 2,3-diol is a pinacol. Please write there what is pinacol. It's a tertiary diol. 2 3-degree alcoholic groups present in a molecule. The compound is called pinacol. Pinacolone, matlab rearrangement. Let's understand the rearrangement part. Let me just explain it to you over here. What is happening? Right. First part, Conc H2SO4, that's a DID, so it will provide H plus. So the H will be taken up by the OH over there. One of the OH will pull it up. There'll be formation of OH2, protonated alcohol. Then the, wait, let me write it down. 2,3-dimethyl butane. 1 second. Okay. So the pinacol part, when we are talking, the pinacol part, 1 second. Yeah. 2,3-dimethyl pinacol rearrangement. Okay. Now this reaction, as I said, it is in the aldehydes part, what we'll be seeing. So acetone reacts over there with magnesium metal. I'm showing you the reaction only. Just see this. Two moles of acetone with magnesium metal in presence of benzene as a solvent. What will happen? CH3, C. Then this double bond O is the part which breaks. So we have like this here. Then we have O. That's the complex what it forms first. With 2 moles, satisfying all valencies of carbon and oxygen. This complex reacts with dilute HCl, breaks down to give me the compound CH3, CH3, OH, CH3, OH, and plus it gives, okay, this compound is a pinacol, 2 tertiary diol, 2 3-degree alcoholic groups if you observe, 2 3-degree alcoholic groups adjacent to each other. Okay, that's why this reaction is only given by ketones. So that's 2 moles of acetone, because aldehydes cannot form 3-degree alcohols, right? Now, once this pinacol is formed, that's 2,3 dimethyl butane 2,3 diol. Now see this part. I'm writing this down over here. CH3, C, CH3, OH, OH, H plus coming from H2SO4. Okay, what's gonna first happen? First part, one of the oxygen will donate the lone pair. So I get the compound. This stays as it is. OH2, and this acquires with one lone pair a positive charge. All right, how we did the protonated part. Okay, now in this category, what will happen now? This electron pair will go to the oxygen. So that part will flush out as water. So I get the compound CH3, C, OH, CH3, C, CH3, and a CH3. Okay, I'm writing here minus water, and this acquires a positive charge, मतलब carbocation. Now this carbocation which is formed, what will happen now? CC bond, free rotation. So what will happen because of the free rotation? Adjacent methyl group, what we have, okay, observe here. This adjacent methyl group will go over here. Now if the adjacent methyl group goes over there, what exactly is going to happen over there? All right, see here. If this adjacent group comes here, so we will have an arrangement like this now. We will have CH3, C, OH. This goes over there. This becomes C, 2-methyl. The methyl group has gone there. And now this acquires a positive charge because the carbocation has shifted there. CC bond free rotation. So carbocation, the carbon is sp2 hybridized. So adjacent methyl group can go in the vacant orbital. That is one. Once this has happened, now what will happen? This oxygen has 2 lone pairs. So one of the lone pair comes here. So it becomes a double bond. And the H, just see this part what I'm highlighting. This H is given as minus H plus. Why? Because initially the H plus came from the acid, no? What I just showed you. This H plus came from the acid. So it has to go back to the acid because catalyst has to be regenerated back. So what do we get now? CH3, C, double bond O, C, CH3, CH3, CH3. This is what I call as pinacolone. Pinacol was a tertiary alcohol, 2 tertiary diol, 2 3-degree alcoholic groups adjacent to each other. Pinacolone, one, that's for ketone, na? That is this part, where if I have to give the IUPAC to this compound, 3,3 dimethyl butane 2,1. Got the mechanism steps, everybody? How this is? Okay. All right. Just see this carefully. First, formation of pinacol. 2 moles of acetone with magnesium metal in presence of benzene as a solvent gives a complex which breaks down to give you pinacol. That's tertiary diol. 2 3-degree alcoholic groups are adjacent to each other. Once we get that over there, then the same pinacol will rearrange H plus coming from an acid, forming intermediate carbocation, where alkyl group will get shifted and it gets converted to pinacolone. Okay. So that's the part over there. So that's called pinacol, pinacolone rearrangement, carbocation intermediate. Then comes glycerol. That's propane 1,2,3 triol. Now glycerol, how is it? Now this will be doing in one part also. It's obtained as a byproduct in soap industry. So preparation of soaps, that's called saponification. In that, the byproduct is glycerol. Saponification is formation of sodium or potassium salts of fatty acids with concentrated NaOH that will give soaps. Okay. Now we don't need to know any of the reactions. Only one reaction important over here of glycerol. Basically, we have all the reactions, but the important reaction is reaction with 3 moles of HI. But observe what is happening first. I can just show on the arrow only. Glycerol first, when I take 3 moles of HI, first part is going to be what? Here, OH goes, first category, second OH, third OH. So all are replaced by 3 iodide. Once that is done, then what it says, remove iodine groups, I2. So what you do now, observe here, I'm changing this color part. So you replace the 3 OH groups by 3 iodine. Now you do removal of iodine. What is happening? I remove these 2 iodine groups. So a double bond comes. Look at that carefully. A double bond is coming. I add 1 more mole of HI. So if I add 1 more mole of HI, it will add according to Markovnikov's rule. So I'm just writing here M rule. Negative part goes to the carbon having least number and the H goes here. Look at this compound. It again says remove iodine. Now remove iodine, this I and this I. So a double bond comes here. That's formation of propene with a double bond. And to that, you will add 1 more mole of HI, which will add according to Markovnikov's rule. So again, I'm writing M rule. Negative part goes to the carbon having least number, and this H comes here. We get 2 iodo-propane. So basically in the whole reaction, if you observe, you have added how many moles totally? First you added 3 moles, then you added 1 more mole, 4, and you added 1 more mole. So with 5 moles of HI added, glycerol can be converted to 2 iodo-propane. Rest all of the reactions you don't need, so don't bother with that. Okay, where with potassium hydrogen sulfate, it gives acrolein, AC. Then with oxalic acid, it forms formic acid and glycerol is regenerated. Again with oxalic acid, COH twice, it forms allyl alcohol. And with nitrating mixture of conc HNO3 and conc H2SO4, it forms trinitroglycerine. That's also called as Nobel soil. We have the uses part of this. Mixture of glyceryl trinitrate and glyceryl dinitrate absorbed over Kisiel-Gur. Kisiel-Gur is basically nothing but a type of silico-aluminate what we have. On detonation, it's basically used as an explosive over there. It detonates to give CO2, nitrogen, and oxygen gas. Then Dustin's test for glycerol, that's an extra reaction. We don't have it, so don't bother for that. That's okay. Chemical reactions of phenol now. Alcohol part is done. Now phenols, they are acidic because of their Ka value. We all know the Ka of phenol. The Ka of phenol is 1 into 10 raised to minus 10. So the P of K is 10. But depending upon different phenols, it ranges between 8 to 10. But normal phenol, P of K is 10. But it's a very weak acid. K of 10 raised to minus 10. We all know, na? Larger the Ka, lower is the P of K. Okay. So larger the Ka, lower is the P of K, and the acid is stronger. So the K is only very low. But as it is weakly acidic, it turns blue litmus red and it dissolves in alkali to form its salt. Whereas alcohol with NaOH will be no reaction. The reason is very simple, because alcohols over there, they are weak acids as compared to phenols. Alcohols turns neither blue litmus red nor red litmus blue. So alcohols with respect to litmus are neutral. So that can be used to distinguish phenols and alcohols. And in fact, we have one more test for alcohol phenol, neutral FeCl3. Okay. Then phenols are weaker acid than carboxylic acid. Now carboxylic acids all, their P of K is 5. It's basically between 3 to 5, because the K is 10 raised to minus 3 to 10 raised to minus 5. They are weaker than carbonic acids also. This is the reason phenol does not decompose bicarbonate, evolving CO. So this we'll be doing in the next part of carboxylic acid, distinguishing test between carboxylic acid and carbolic acid. I did it when the chapter was there. If anybody remembers, in one of the lectures I explained this. What is that? Carbolic acid is phenol, carboxylic acid, formic acidic propionic. You can distinguish by NaHCO3, sodium hydrogen carbonate, where acids with sodium bicarbonate will form salt, water, and it will liberate carbon dioxide. Whereas phenol plus NaHCO3 being a very weak acid, it will not liberate carbon dioxide from NaHCO3. That's the part. So that is one. Phenols will precipitate as sodium phenoxide when you react with water plus CO2. So sodium phenoxide with carbonic acid, it gives you phenol. Then phenols are stronger acids than alcohol because the phenoxide ion is stabilized by resonance as compared to alkoxide ion will not show resonance. Now effect of groups, electron withdrawing groups, EWG. See, you can call the name electron withdrawing groups or electron attracting groups. Nitro, cyanide, aldehyde, COR is acyl, COR, that's basically nothing but an what we call as an ester group, X halogens. They're all over there. They are electron attracting groups which stabilize the phenoxide ion to phenol by dispersing the negative charge, increasing the acidity of phenol. However, the effect is more stronger at ortho and para position. That's the plus R effect. Okay. So all electron withdrawing groups, basically electronegative atoms, they will increase the acidic strength of phenols. Same way, so look at that, nitrophenols, this order important, I'm just giving the numberings to you. Para-nitrophenol is more than ortho and then meta. And ortho is less because of chelation, and meta to electron density is the, in fact, electron density with plus R is more at ortho and para than meta. That's why meta is the least. Then all halophenols except parafluorophenol, what it says over there, are more acidic due to minus I effect. So that's why look at that. Ortho-halophenol is more acidic than meta than para. However, in case of parafluorophenol, because of the identical two sizes of the p orbitals of carbon, because carbon is also 1s2, 2s2, 2p2, so electron is in the p orbital, and fluorine is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, will be p orbital. So because of the identical part, they balance each other, and hence it is almost as acidic as phenol itself. Because in F, you will have plus R as well as minus I. And about halogens, you know, they show plus R, but they are moderately deactivating groups, halogen atoms. Among ortho-halophenol, orthofluorophenol is the weakest acid due to strong intramolecular H bonding. So that's the third order. Orthochloro, orthobromo, orthoiodo, orthofluoro. That's one. And greater the number of electron withdrawing group at ortho and para, acidic strength is more. So fourth order, 2,4,6 trinitrophenol, then 2,4, then 4, then 3,5. Matlab first at ortho and para, then at meta. That's what it's trying to talk. 2,4,6 is basically the 2 ortho and para. 2,4 is ortho and para. 4 is only para. Then meta, that is 3 and 5. Then only at ortho, and finally phenol. Next one, electron donating groups, EWG, or electron repelling groups, groups which are less electronegative. Basically the one which shows plus I effect. Electron withdrawing are the ones which show minus I effect. Alkyl groups, alkoxy groups, amino group, they destabilize the phenoxide ion in relative to phenol. Is this clear? Hence we say by intensifying the negative charge, decreasing the acidity of phenol. However, the effect is more pronounced at ortho and para position than meta. So now look at that. Number 5, phenol is more acidic than meta, para, and orthocresol. Metacresol is stronger acid than ortho and para because of hyperconjugation. All right, that is one. Then methoxyphenol, meta-methoxyphenol, and meta-aminophenol are more acidic than phenol. So this is basically the next order what I have to tell. I'm just putting the orders, so make a note of it. Meta-methoxy will be more because methoxy group is a more electron repelling group. That's why. That's the whole explanation part. What is there, what we have. That's because of the Plasar effect, the presence of lone pair on oxygen and nitrogen, plus greater electronegativity of oxygen than nitrogen. Since Plasar effect cannot operate at meta, Plasar is always at ortho and para. Meta-methoxyphenol is and meta-aminophenol are stronger acids than phenol. But because of the minus effect of methoxy group is stronger, now since the plus effect, sorry, not minus I, the plus effect of methoxy is stronger than amino, oxygen being more electronegative. Meta-methoxy is a stronger acid than amino, meta-aminophenol. Then what it says over here, since inhibition of resonance may either increase or decrease the acidity depending on the nature of the group. Yeah. 3,5-dinitrophenol is a weaker acid than isomeric 2,6-dimethyl 1,4-nitrophenol. Okay. So because of the resonance part, we say it might sometimes increase or decrease the acidic strength. So look at that. It says 3,5-dimethyl 4-nitrophenol is less acidic due to the steric hindrance of resonance act of the NO2 group, and 2,6-dimethyl 4-nitrophenol is more acidic. That is one. Then with alkali metals, phenol forms sodium salt and it liberates hydrogen. Alkylation, this is basically Williamson synthesis. Sodium phenoxide plus methyl iodide is formation of anisole, methyl phenyl ether. Same way here it forms over there. Sodium phenoxide plus ethyl iodide gives you, no, this is wrong. This is phenitol. Ethyl phenyl ether. The special name of methyl phenyl ether is anisole. Then ethyl phenyl ether is phenitol. Okay. Then acylation, formation of ester. Phenol plus acetyl chloride, like how alcohol plus acetyl chloride gives you ester, same with this forms phenyl acetate, or with acetic anhydride also it gives respective ester. And like acetylation, we can also have benzoylation, matlab the benzoyl group. What is the benzoyl group? C6H5CO group. So generalized acylation is RC double bond. So R is CH3 acetyl, R is C6H5 benzoyl. So phenol plus benzoyl chloride, that forms phenyl benzoate, which is also called Schotten-Baumann reaction. It's an extra part, but this is important, so know it. Whatever is extra I'm telling you about, just do that only. Rest is fine. Okay. Then distillation with zinc dust. Phenol with zinc dust, we have done that. It gives benzene. Then phenol with Grignard's reagent. That's what we did. No, active hydrogen atom. It gives you alkane, where the H, active hydrogen atom, is picked up by the alkyl group to give you an alkane. Then action with halogen acids. This is an extra part over there. Due to resonance, it's more stronger. Therefore, phenol does not react with halogen acids and phosphorus halides. However, it reacts with PCl5 to give triphenyl phosphate as a major product. That's an extra reaction. You can leave that. With ferric chloride, yes, this was a distinguishing test between alcohol and phenol, where phenol gives violet color with neutral aqueous FeCl3. I have told you what is neutral aqueous FeCl3. Ferric chloride FeCl3, salt of strong acid, weak base. So the solution undergoes cationic hydrolysis and we get a turbidity of ferric hydroxide. So to remove the turbidity, we add few drops of HCl. So the clear solution after removing the turbidity of HCl is called neutral aqueous FeCl3. And the violet color what we get is of ferric phenoxide. Okay, that is one. So all compound containing enols, matlab double bond and an OH, means basically phenolic OH, OH directly attached to the benzene ring. Then phenol on reduction will give cyclohexanol, the double bonds will break. Then the electrophilic substitution, because the OH group shows plus R effect, ortho-para directing. Liquid with bromine water, it forms 2,4,6 tribromophenol. With liquid bromine, with carbon disulfide at 273 Kelvin, it gives a mixture of ortho and para bromophenol, where ortho is minor, para is major due to symmetry. For bromination, the electrophile playing bromonium ion. Sulfonation, low temperature. Room temperature, phenol forms orthophenol sulfonic acid, and at a high temperature, it forms paraphenol sulfonic acid, indicating para is more stable at a higher temperature. Here the electrophile, that's nothing but sulfonium ion. Nitration, with dilute HNO3, it forms ortho and para. Is this clear what we have? So at low temperature with HNO2, with HNO3 at low temperature, it forms ortho and para. However, with nitrous acid, it gives para-nitrosophenol, which on oxidation gives para-nitrophenol. HNO2 is nitrous acid. So phenol, if it reacts, it forms a nitroso group. Nitroso is N double bond O group. That's called nitroso. That way. And with HNO3, it gets oxidized. Directly, if you use HNO3, then we get a mixture of ortho and para, where ortho was a major product due to chelation, that is the intramolecular H bonding part, and para is less because of intermolecular H bonding. However, with conc HNO3 and conc H2SO4, it gives you picric acid. But picric acid, first, how do you prepare? First, with conc H2SO4 at a high temperature, it forms ortho and para sulfonic acid, which with conc HNO3 gives you picric acid. Picric acid, a yellow colored dye. The word comes from the word picrose. Picrose means bitter taste. Okay, picrose comes from the word, picrose means bitter. It's a yellow dye used to detect the presence of potassium ions, that is K plus ions in your cation analysis. That is one. Then Friedel-Crafts reaction, everybody. With methyl chloride, phenol will form 4-methylphenol, that's para, cresol and orthocresol, but para is major. Kolbe's reaction, preparation of salicylic acid. So phenol with NaOH gives you sodium phenoxide. Sodium phenoxide reacts with the weak electrophile, that is carbon dioxide, to give sodium salicylate. That is basically what we can call as rearrangement reaction, which gets hydrolyzed with HCl to give salicylic acid, whose other name is orthohydroxybenzoic acid or 2-hydroxybenzoic acid. And salicylic acid, that's basically nothing but used. Uska derivative of salicylic acid is acetyl salicylic acid, that's acetylation. That's aspirin 2-acetoxybenzoic acid, that is used as an analgesic. I've told you the meaning of the word analgesia. Analgesia means without pain, pain reliever, and antipyretic. Pyrexia is a condition when body temperature is raised above normal, matlab fever. So antipyretic, to lower down body temperature. We use this part. So it's analgesic and antipyretic. Then we have its derivative, Celol, that's phenyl salicylate. That is also an intestinal antiseptic, means it's not an antiseptic. It's again basically over there an analgesic, or it's an antipyretic drug only. But for intestinal infections, it is used over there. And same way we have oil of wintergreen, that is methyl salicylate. That's also used basically over there, nothing but for your Iodex, Move. It's a pain reliever. Is this clear? And also it is used as a flavoring agent in perfumeries, plus in some of the food drinks, and also as an analgesic for rheumatism. Rheumatism is this only, that is basically over there, whatever inflammation we have, the pain what we have over there, some spasm sometimes we get. So that's the rheumatic part what we see. And for sciatic pains. Now, when I'm talking about the word, the sciatic pains, what exactly is this sciatic pains? That is basically affecting your back, your hip. Is this clear? That way? Or what you have is nothing but the pain due to the outer side of the leg and all. That is a sciatic pain. That is one. What is it used for? So derivatives of salicylic acid, acetyl salicylic acid, that is aspirin or Dispirin, what we call. Also a blood diluter. Second, to talk, Celol, that is phenyl salicylate. So phenyl salicylate also, if I'm talking over there, that is also used as an antipyretic drug only. And the third we have is methyl salicylate. That is main chemical used in all the what we have as the pain relievers. That is Iodex, Move, or any of the relieving creams, or what we call as Volini, or the Voveran gels and all what we have. All the chemical is methyl salicylate. It's a muscle relaxant. Then people reaction of salicylic acid, that is acetylation, the first reaction. That is in chemistry in everyday life, we have this part. Acetylation of salicylic acid with acetic anhydride in presence of conc H2SO4 gives us aspirin. Phenol with POCl3 gives you Celol over there. That's nothing but I told you it's a mild analgesic. Analgesic means analgesia, without pain. For that it is used. And last is with methanol. Acid plus alcohol gives ester. That's methyl salicylate. Oil of wintergreen is basically, it has the same smell with the botanical name of the plant is wintergreen. So that oil, the chemical which is secreted from there, we have this compound that is methyl salicylate. That way. Then Riemann-Tiemann's reaction, preparation of nothing but orthohydroxybenzaldehyde or salicylaldehyde. That is phenol with chloroform and NaOH, which gets converted with HCl2, salicylaldehyde. Very important. Here, the intermediate electrophile is dichlorocarbene. Okay. The mechanism is put over there. This is the dichlorocarbene, what it forms, where NaOH first forms sodium phenoxide, which combines with dichlorocarbene to give you orthosalicylaldehyde. Then it says instead of chloroform, if CCl4 is formed, salicylic acid along with small amount of para-hydroxybenzoic acid is also formed. That's an add-on part. Know the electrophiles. That is what they can ask you. And what is it's chloroform and NaOH. Then Liberman's nitroso test. This is basically a test for the nitroso group. Nitroso group is the N double bond O group. We'll be seeing this in amines. That is when you warm, on warming H2SO4 with phenol, it gives a brown or red coloration, which changes to blue or green on treatment with NaOH. And further, if you add an acid, and further on dilution, it gets converted to red color. So a crystal of phenol along with conc H2SO4 gives a brown or red color, which changes to blue or green on treatment with NaOH, and on diluting with water, it gets converted to red color. Now, this is the Liberman's test, which is true for any compound which has a nitroso group. We just now discussed nitroso. Phenol with HNO2, nitrous acid, gives you the nitroso group. So for that part, it is used. We'll be doing this in the amines part, the nitroso group, N double bond. Then a phthalene reaction is basically uses phenol plus phthalic anhydride, gives you phenolphthalein, the acid-base indicator, colorless to light pink. So in the acid, you add 1 or 2 drops of the indicator, and then from the burette, when you add alkali to it, the color slowly changes from colorless to light pink. So that's phthalic anhydride plus phenol, giving us phenolphthalein. No reactions required. Just know what is used. So phenolphthalein, acid-base indicator, phenol plus phthalic anhydride. Coupling reaction. Couple. Two coming together to form a higher one. Diazonium salts. We know diazonium salts, aromatic amine plus HNO2, 0 to 5. Then it forms dyes called as azo dyes. Azo, it's a French word. Azo means nitrogen, 2 atoms of nitrogen together. So look at that. Diazonium salt, when you react with phenol, H and Cl are removed in an alkaline medium, and it forms this compound 4-hydroxy azobenzene. Why 4-hydroxy? This part entire is 4 with benzene with OH is 4-hydroxy. Azo is this group, N double bond N, and then a benzene. It's an orange colored dye. Dyes we know, na? We use dyes in basically a lot of foods, food materials, many of the food articles we have is basically where the dyes are used. Where you can say basically soft drinks, chewing gums, popcorns. Is this clear? We use over there. or some of the dyes of the textile uses, basically the fabric printing on the cloth and also dyes I use. So that's one reaction. This reaction is not a part of this, but when we do the NCERT chapter amines, there we will be having this reaction, disonium salt with phenol or with aniline group, which shows plus R effect. They form their respective azo dyes. So azo group, N double bond N. So remember, whenever the word comes azo, this is the group. It forms its dyes. Okay. Then else persulfate oxidation. This is an extra reaction. You don't need to know this. It says monohydric phenol when reacted with potassium persulfate, it gives quinol and catechol, like ortho and para positions. That we don't have this, so don't do this. Then this is an important reaction. It's an extra, but you need to know it. So mark it important. It's called Fry's rearrangement of the groups. What it says, phenyl esters on heating with anhydrous aluminum chloride in presence of carbon disulfide undergoes rearrangement in which the acyl group, that is RCO group. Remember I told you acyl is RC double bond O group. The acyl group migrates from the phenolic oxygen to the ortho or para position of the benzene ring. So look at that, phenyl benzoate, here there is an H. So this ONH will come here and this group will come here. So look at that, OH. So you got ortho hydroxy benzophenone, and then ortho and para, we get two compounds like that. So you can hydrolyze them. So this is basically a rearrangement where the adjacent positions, where the acyl group migrates from the phenolic oxygen to the oxygen atom at ortho and para of the benzene ring. That's important. We had this concept in the Kolbe's reaction as well as in Riemann-Tiemann's reaction. Look at that, phenyl acetate also gives the same way. So this H goes to the O and the COCH3 comes here. So we have ortho and para hydroxy acetophenol. Then what it says, this is called Fry's rearrangement. Low temperature favors formation of para, high temperature favors ortho. Distinction between alcohols and phenols, that is the same litmus test, where phenols will be acidic, alcohols are neutral basically. Then next we have produces a white precipitate of 2,4,6-tribromophenol, that is a test of unsaturation with bromine water, and also forms an orange dye with disonium salts, whereas alcohols do not give these tests. Okay. And commercial preparations we have discussed, that is with water gas, also called as syngas, where CO plus H2 gives us, there's a misprint here, one hydrogen, CO plus H2 over there will give us nothing but CH3OH. So it's basically, rather than H2H2, it has to be 2 moles of hydrogen. Then it makes sense. So rather than CO plus H2 plus H2, that way. And methanol, we also know that's a poisonous alcohol. It's a spurious alcohol. So that's why ethanol in the industry is blended with methanol, and that's called as methylated spirit. So people shouldn't consume for drinking purposes. That is one, containing pyridine, naphtha, and some amount of copper sulfate. So with the looking at the blue color, get an idea not to drink over there, and methanol and pyridine and naphtha added to make it more poisonous. Because normal alcohol in the industry, that's 100% alcohol that can't be consumed. 100% normal ethanol, also called grain alcohol, that's basically extracted from the grains there. Commercially by hydration of ethene, because petroleum industry by cracking. Fermentation of carbohydrate, this is the part from molasses. Molasses is cane sugar, sucrose, that's a disaccharide. Saccharide comes from the word saccharum, unit of sugar. With the presence of enzyme invertase, it gives glucose and fructose. And glucose with the enzyme zymase gives ethanol and carbon dioxide. That's what I said, no? From the fodder, the molasses part, we converted to ethyl alcohol. So ethanol blended with petrol to save the natural resources part. And same way we have a reaction with starch also. Starch, that's a polysaccharide giving many units of sugar. First gives a disaccharide maltose with the enzyme diastase, and maltose gives glucose with the enzyme maltase, which further with zymase, glucose breaks down to give you ethanol. So you just need to know the enzymes there. That's it. Last category, preparation of ethers. Continuous esterification process, 413 Kelvin, only valid for primary alcohol. 2-degree and 3-degree alcohols will give respective alkenes. The reaction occurs by SN2. However, with 2-degree and 3-degree alcohols, it is SN1 mechanism where it forms alkenes instead of ethers. One. Second is also by heating it over alumina. That is 633 Kelvin. That's only for symmetrical ethers. Now in dehydration, what we spoke, the reaction was not there. I spoke one was with Kong H2SO4, that is called liquid phase dehydration, using different concentrations of Kong H2SO4. You can also use vapor phase dehydration for alcohols to give alkenes. That's what we call as alcohols are in the gaseous state. Primary alcohol, Al2O3 with 623 Kelvin. Secondary alcohol with alumina at 523 Kelvin. And tertiary alcohol with alumina at 423 Kelvin. Just difference of 100 degree Kelvin. Okay, 623, 523, 423 Kelvin. Okay, that's the part also what we have for preparation of alkenes. Same way here with 633 Kelvin, only with alumina, it's for symmetrical ether. Symmetrical means the alcohol has to be the same. Methanol will give dimethyl ether, ethanol will give diethyl ether. Then diazomethane and alcohol. So alcohol reacts with diazomethane, where this diazomethane group is there. So this group comes here. It gets converted to methoxyethane, sorry. So of diazomethane, what was the drawback? In presence of fluoroboric acid as a catalyst, one of the alkyl is always methyl. That's the drawback with diazomethane. Okay. Again, di means two, azo is nitrogen. So from methane, you replace two hydrogen atoms by two nitrogen atoms. So diazomethane becomes CH2N2. Then addition of alcohols to alkenes. If you react alcohols with alkenes in presence of H2SO4, it's a Markovnikov addition to give you ether over there. All right. The reaction has very good yield with alkenes, which can produce 3-degree carbocation. It's an extra reaction, but so if you take an alkene and react with alcohol, addition is as per Markovnikov's addition. So Markovnikov's addition, the negative part gets added to the carbon atom having least number. So negative part is the alkoxide ion, CH3CH2O. So that will get added to this carbon and the H goes here. We get third butyl ethyl ether. So we can prepare a branched ether by using an alcohol and alkene. That's one. Then this is an extra reaction you don't need to know. That is alkoxy mercuration, demercuration. We don't have this part. Alkyl halides we have Williamson synthesis, that's SN2 mechanism. Sodium alkoxide plus alkyl halide. It will give respective ether. So ethyl bromide, sodium methoxide, diethyl ether. Sodium methoxide, methyl bromide, ethyl methyl ether. Same way we can prepare anisole. Sodium phenoxide plus methyl iodide will give anisole. So the reaction can actually start from phenol. Okay, so I can have phenol reacting with NaOH, giving me sodium phenoxide. Sodium phenoxide with methyl iodide, SN2 mechanism will give me anisole. And same sodium phenoxide with ethyl bromide. Look at that. Now the name is proper. Ethyl phenyl ether. That's phenitol. Okay. That's one. But here the drawback is there, not for branched ethers. For branched ether, the mechanism change is different. We need alkoxide of higher branched alcohol, and alkyl halide should be 1 degree. Mechanism goes by SN2 over there. Yeah. Third butyl ether is prepared by treating ethyl bromide with sodium, third butoxide. Okay. So we get ethyl, third butyl ether. The word ethyl is missing there. So look at that. If you take sodium third butoxide, we get a higher branched ether. But if you take a 3-degree RX, then we get an alkene. This is the most important part. Then we have, now this is also the part, preparation of anisole part. This is an extra one. You don't need this. Okay. Like halide ions, sulfate is a good leaving group. So phenols are soluble in sodium hydroxide. And therefore, phenol with alkyl sulfates are carried in the presence of aqueous NaOH. It gives anisole, it gives phenetol. We don't have this. This is extra but important. I told you, dry silver oxide. Alkyl halides with moist silver oxide will give alcohol. With dry silver oxide, it gives ether. Then from Grignard's reagent, this is also extra. We don't have it. Not required. It says alpha haloether. What is alpha haloether? The functional group, that's the alpha carbon, right? So alpha haloethers, when react with Grignard, it forms respective over there, nothing but ether. So that's a ethyl methyl ether. Matlab this alkyl group gets added here. So it becomes methoxyethane. That's ethyl methyl ether. But extra part, you can leave that. Then physical properties. Dimethyl ether and ethyl methyl ether are gases, whereas the higher members are liquids. Dipole moments, they do have high dipole moments. That because of the bulky alkyl groups. So compared to water, which is 104.5, the angle is around 110. It's 111 degrees. And the dipole moments are there because of the bulk of the alkyl groups. Ethers are isomeric with monohydric alcohols. However, due to absence of H bonding, ethers only have dipole-dipole attraction because there is no H. Remember that. Their boiling points are lower than isomeric alcohols. Ethers don't show hydrogen bonding among themselves, but they do show hydrogen bonding between water and ether molecules till 4 carbon atoms. So lower ethers are miscible in water due to H bonding between ether and water. But on its own, between two ether, there is no H bonding. Remember that. That is one. And beyond 4 carbon atom, the solubility decreases because of the hydrophobic nature of the alkyl groups. Chemical reactions. Lewis base, it donates a lone pair to form a salt called oxonium salts. Can be with conc H2SO4, can be with conc HCl, which confirms that ethers are Lewis base. That's the test for ethers, formation of oxonium salts. They form coordinate complexes with Lewis acids because Lewis acids, all of them have vacant orbitals. So with vacant orbitals, oxygen can donate the lone pair and form coordinate bonds. So that is one part. Then due to formations complex, Grignard's reagent dissolves in ether. That is why Grignard are usually prepared in ethers. They can be prepared in 3-degree amines, which don't have any replaceable H, but nitrogen has a lone pair, hence it forms a soluble complex. Okay. That is one part. Then comes reaction with HI. Look at that. If you take with 1 mole of HI, one forms the iodide, one forms the alcohol. This is a specific SN2 mechanism. So we have lower forming the iodide, higher forming the alcohol. And if it is in excess, that is 2 moles, then we get 2 moles of alkyl iodide. So like see that 2 moles of HI, then we get 2 moles of diethyl ether. We'll give 2 moles of ethyl iodide. Cyclic ether also is broken down. Cleaved is basically broken down by HBr to form alpha omega dihaloalkanes. So like that it breaks down. It's an SN2 mechanism, very important. This is true where iodide is more reactive than bromide and hydrogen halides its HI is more reactive than HBr and HCl. Now, with 1 mole of HI, lower forms the iodide, higher forms the alcohol is true. Till it is basically what we go till 2 degree. Once it becomes 3 degree, then the mechanism changes to SN1 and it is the 3 degree will form the iodide, lower will form the alcohol because the mechanism changes to SN1 and carbocation is the intermediate. That's the part. So look at that. For isopropyl, till isopropyl 2 degree, lower is the iodide, higher is the alcohol. However, if one of the group is tertiary, then the mechanism changes to SN1. Well, look at that. Third butyl methyl ether. You have third butyl iodide and methanol. That's the mechanism part. Over there, the bonds which breaks over there. Okay. Because of the formation of carbocation. Then next part we have here. Yeah, this is the whole mechanism part. So that's okay. Just the carbocation intermediate is important. Then third butyl methyl ether. What it says? Okay. High polarity of the solvent in presence of HI has favored SN1 mechanism. However, if the cleavage of third butyl ether is carried out with anhydrous HI, the low polarity of the solvent would favor SN2. So what they are saying is, normally if you have a high polar solvent, it favors mechanism, because SN1, to form carbocation, we need hydrolytic fission. So for that, we require a polar solvent. But if it says if it is only anhydrous HI without water, anhydrous HI will have less polarity. Then it will favor SN2 with third butyl also, to give third butyl alcohol and methyl iodide. So it's basically an extra information there, depending on the polarity of the solvent. Okay. Okay. This is about the carbocation part. Yeah, SN1. Cleavage of aryl groups. So anisole gives you phenol plus methyl iodide. So lower is the iodide, higher is the alcohol. But if it is with HI, what it says over there, you have iodobenzene and methyl iodide over there. That is basically what it says with HI 373 Kelvin. The reason being that protonation, in case of phenolic ethers, the products are always phenol and iodide and never an aryl halide. This you don't get at all. You never get it. Okay. You always get this reaction. Lower is the iodide, higher is the, in this case for phenyl, for anisole, it will not be alcohol. Lower is the iodide, higher would be phenol, because OH attached to the benzene ring will show more stability. That's the part. Then next we have analytical processes over there. The reaction to HI on the basis of the Ziesel's method for the estimation of alkoxy groups attached. To know how many alkyl groups are attached in ethers, that method is called Ziesel's method. It says the alkyl iodides produced by the action of HI are absorbed with with silver nitrate, and the silver iodide thus formed is washed and dried, and from there the weight of ether taken and that of silver iodide formed tells us the number of alkoxy groups which are present in ether. So to estimate which are the groups present, the method is the Ziesel's method. It is again an extra point, so not important. You can leave this part, not required. Last reaction with sulfuric acid, it's hydrolysis. It forms respective alcohol. With Conc H2SO4, yes, it forms alcohol and it forms over there alkyl hydrogen sulfate, that is ROSO3H. With PCl5, it will form respective, the alkyl groups will form its respective alkyl chlorides. With acid chloride, these are also all extra reactions. Huh? So here people, this is an extra reaction. It will form esters again, just like alcohols, phenols, ethers also with acid chloride or acid anhydrides, it will form ester. Sixth one, that's the explosion part. Ether reacts with oxygen to form peroxides and hydroperoxides. So OOH is hydroperoxide, and that decomposes over there. And it decomposes over there with KCNS, that is potassium thiocyanide over there, because S is for sulfur, and it gives a blood red color. This is the test what we had in the cation analysis also for ferrous ions. All this part is okay. Halogenation, where it forms, this is also an extra reaction. Don't bother. We don't have halogenation. Electrophilic substitution we have, where the same thing. Here it's nitronium ion, where anisole forms ortho, nitro, and para nitro anisole, where para is the major product. Bromination, it's bromonium ion, where it forms ortho bromo and para bromo anisole. Again, para is major. And same way, Friedel-Crafts acetylation and Friedel-Crafts acylation, to give you over there nothing but ortho-methoxyacetophenone and para-hydroxyacetophenone, that's acylation. And with alkylation also, it gives similar products. Cyclic ether is in a complete extra part. We don't have this. I've just given as an info part. Formation of the epoxides of the ring. Don't bother with this at all. You can just, only one important reaction is this. This was there in the MCQ also. Ethene plus HOCl. HOCl is called hypochlorous acid. It forms ethylene chlorohydrin, where OH goes on one and Cl goes on the other part. And that with water will give you a cyclic ether, epoxy ethane or ethylene oxide. And this oxygen in the form of a ring with the carbon is called the oxyran ring. That's the name which is given over here. Oxyran ring. So see this part, this is important because these epoxides, if you react with Grignards, you get primary alcohols. That reaction we have seen. Okay. Then with acid bases, the cleavage part is there. You don't need to know that. No, we don't have anything of this. This entire part is not there with Grignard. Grignards, yes, that's important. I discussed with you reaction with Grignard. Otherwise, reactions don't bother where it forms respective alcohol. Okay. Then reduction, we don't have this part. Crown ethers, yes, this is the part which is extra but important. Cage type of a compounds, what I said. What it says, the name crown is given because their molecular resembles the crown. And they are mainly called, at least with 4 oxygen atoms, they are called X crown Y. I've told you X means the total carbon and oxygen atoms. Total atoms is X and Y is only the number of oxygen atoms. So look at that. 12 crown 4. 4 is the number of oxygen and 12 total atoms are 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So number of carbon atoms are 8 carbon. Same way 15 crown 5. So you'll have total 15 atoms, 5 are oxygen. So there'll be 10 carbon atoms. And these crown ethers are used for what? Extraction of metals, like sodium extraction is from 15 crown 5 over there. All right. So these oxygens will donate their lone pairs to form coordinate bonds and they will trap the metal. All right. And that's how the metals can be extracted. 18 crown 6. So this has 12 carbon atoms. That way. So they can just ask you how many carbon, how many oxygen and all. That's it. Due to complex formation, yes, they can be used. That's it. It also has potassium dichromate, potassium permanganate, potassium fluoride, potassium cyanide, potassium acetate dissolves K+ coordinates with crown ethers in the organic phase. Yeah, so it's basically extraction of metals over there. That's it. All right. That's it, the part there. Okay.